Okay. First of all, acknowledgement. I'm going to put up a few points here to encourage you. I believe these are true. I really do. You know, when it comes to change, you are not powerless. Okay? You aren't. You really aren't. You mustn't believe you're powerless. You and you alone own your reaction and your feelings and your response to change. That's yours. No one can take that away, and no one actually has the right to change it. You have that power. You're not powerless. The other thing that I would like you to ask is, in light of our security, our identity, our belonging and our purpose, which we just looked at, I would encourage you, as part of the acknowledgement, when something comes along and challenges you to change or with change, why does it stress you? Ask yourself that question. In what way does this actually stress me? In what way does this challenge me? Is it about your identity? Is it about your belonging? Is it about your security or your purpose? I think that's a good exercise to do, to understand, why is this stressful? So identify the area that you feel is under threat and express your views. Healthy assertion is not spouting off or blowing your trumpet or grouching. It's not that. It's about knowing what you feel, owning what you feel, knowing what you think, and being free to express that. Just making your needs known. I actually think sometimes we don't make our needs known. And what we've got to remember is the people that we work with, the people that we live with, the people that are maybe the instigators of change, they cannot read your mind. They can't read our minds. We quite often do have to give some information, some feedback. So do express your views. And if you can't do that within, the remit of the change that's being, say, that you're under the influence of, or that's being sort of forced upon you, then make sure that you find somebody that you trust and who is a listener where you can express your views, because that's important. They are your views. And it may be that it's in chatting offline with people that actually clarity comes, and sometimes that's where, even within a workplace, you can begin to find, actually there are some views here that are not being expressed. We need to express these views through the right channels. So it is about being, owning that, knowing what you think and expressing it. And seek support. I don't think that's a weak thing. We often feel, you've got to stand on your own 2 feet and you've got to, cope with change and just grin and bear it. And I would say no, because are there any engineers in the room? Okay, there is a definition, is there not, of stress in engineering. And I think it has to do with the surface area of the point. And I think it's pressure in area. I think that's how you calculate stress. So I would say to you, if you've got a huge pressure in your life right now, and the surface area is your 2 feet, that is not a lot of area. But if it's you plus him plus her plus them, that is a much broader area. So that same pressure is dispersed over a greater area of support, and hence the stress in the equation comes down. I would say seek support, whether that's professional, whether it's friends, lean on the people that care about you and that listen to you. So acknowledgement, I think, is really important, but there's more, because I think there's also a degree that each of us have to be a wee bit flexible. We have to be able to adjust. Now that's what makes human beings so interesting, so resilient, so creative, is that we adjust, we adapt. But the adjustment, I would say, just do a little exercise, even if it's just purely for, let's just try it. Look to see if there's anything in that change that could be, for you, a positive. You might be surprised. Can you see any potential in this change? Sometimes we don't see things because we're not looking for them. Have you ever had an experience where you've come into work and your head's full of, I need to do this after work, and did I switch the kettle off, and did I lock the door, and what about this, and what about that? And then somebody says, did you see that sunrise this morning? Did you see the sky coming in here? Did you see the ochels with the snow on? And you're like, no, you drove past them. But no, I didn't see them. You know, sometimes we don't see things because we don't look. I think we need to ask ourselves, is there potential in this change? And I'm not trying to pat anybody on the head, because I know change often isn't fun. But can we reframe the change as a challenge that we can rise to? Just a thought. But I think there's more than that even. I think that acknowledging and that the sense of adjusting, there's kind of a step on from that where you actually begin to adapt. You begin to kind of flex with it. And I think one of the key things to change and to adapting to changes, often changes that are enforced, is before we all get on our high horses, speaking to me, before I get on my high horse, could we gather the facts first? Now, I'm going to share something with you. We use a computer program at work, and one of the benefits of it is it's called Document Manager, DocMan. And basically what it does is that when letters come in from hospital appointments or blood results come in, they are scanned immediately into patients' records, so that if that patient is seen on that day, it's there in front of you. There's no laborious paper trail, okay? Now, we had just got up and running with this, and most GPs, well certainly me, I'm not very IT literate, so I just got up and running with this when they changed it. And when I met the screen for the first time and saw that the button was different and I couldn't do this and well, I went off on one. I was not a happy bunny, and I went straight to the manager and I said, this is not good enough, I can't. And then I kind of thought, wait a minute, why has it changed? Maybe it's changed because this is better. Maybe it's changed because this is actually more efficient. Maybe this will actually help me in a different way. Lo and behold, all of the above. I just hadn't been patient enough to research the facts. It just was different. I didn't like it. So I think we need to research the facts before we get on our high horses about change. Realise how this will affect you, because what you might find, I appreciate not in every case, what you might find is there are actually some positives in here, there are some benefits, it might make your job easier. But I think the other thing about the change is we each also need to have, while we've got a foot in the how will it affect me camp, we need to have a foot in the but what's the big picture camp? Because if the big picture is, as has been the case for some people, maybe even in the audience, that recently some employers have had to say, right, there's an overtime ban. Right, everybody's going to a 3-day week. Now the individual is saying, oh great, how am I going to make ends meet? But the company is thinking long-term jobs. Let's not make anybody redundant here. You know, it's just about keeping one foot in the global camp, the big picture maybe. I appreciate that might not apply to every situation, but maybe it is, it's just we're not seeing it. Can we reframe this as an opportunity? Actually, what we discovered with this new DocMan was that not only was it slicker and quicker, but you can actually do more on the one screen without coming out and going into a different screen. There were a whole lot of things that had been improved, but I just couldn't see it because I didn't like the fact it had changed. It was a threat to my illiteracy in IT.